Hey guys, Ashton here from Block West Capital and the Crypto Coin Show, and we are at the LABITCON conference in El Salvador, the first country to legalize Bitcoin, legal tender. And I'm with Francisco Montenegro from the Open Bank Project to talk about the Bitcoin Bankathon, Bitcoin in El Salvador, and many other things. So thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me, Ashton. Pleasure to be here, and glad to have you in this beautiful country.
Yeah, it's been an amazing experience so far. Walking right in, there's Bitcoin signs everywhere at the airport, and it seems like everyone's on the train together.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of initiatives going on in El Salvador, and your team is working on more initiatives with the first state-backed hackathon, the Bitcoin Bankathon. I would love to get into that, but first, let's just talk a little bit about the Open Bank project, what you're working on with that, how that relates to the hackathon, and what does it mean to be an open bank?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Ashton. So the Open Bank project started in 2010.
Wow.
Basically, it's a curious movement because it started almost in parallel to the Bitcoin world.
Yeah.
But aside from that, open banking, fast forward to now, they're both on the same level, where maybe open banking has more traction from a regulatory standpoint. But before I get deep into that, I'll tell you how the movement started.
Yeah.
So the movement started, actually the Open Bank project is the company that pioneered open banking. When our founder submitted a paper to the UK Treasury saying that financial systems and banks, they need to be more transparent, more inclusive. So with that, they passed a proposal that the countries, well, this started in the UK, the UK mandated opening up the financial information and exposing it via APIs following the customer consent. So that gave to the rise of fintechs and many new business models where, for example, neobanks, and now the Open Bank project, after that, has consulted regulators around the world in supporting their open banking initiatives. And they also have open banking technology, which is a middleware layer that sits between the core banking system and third-party apps, so data consumers. But it's also a layer where you can consume data or integrate crypto assets, and in this particular scenario, integrate Bitcoin into the banks.
Very cool. And that's amazing to hear that it actually started around when Bitcoin started, and now to the point where the first country is legalizing Bitcoin as tender. It comes to that point where Bitcoin is going to be needed to be integrated into banks for everyday citizens, especially in El Salvador now that everyone has their Bitcoin in their Chivo wallet and the adoption is starting. Of course, not everybody in the country is going to start using Bitcoin on the first day. A lot of people just take their free Bitcoin and run, or some of them get interested and they want to learn more about it as it starts getting integrated into the banking system. I'm curious on how you see neobanks in El Salvador moving into 2022 and for the next 5 years as Bitcoin gets integrated into the country. How do you think that's going to affect the banks that are in this country?
Yeah, great question, great question. I think that as the banks integrate Bitcoin, the first thing that it will do, it will help adoption because people trust their banks.
Yeah.
So people that can have access to Bitcoin through their bank are more likely to have it as someone that does not want to precisely use the Chivo wallet for A or B reason.
Yeah.
This is basic economics, and it goes down to choices. If you give the consumer choices, they will tend to decide on different ones. And if there's no choices, you will tend to exclude some people out. So in terms of the neobank, I think this will really help because it will be a complete new business model where some parts of the population will be able to open a wallet that has on the back end banking services provided by the banks, but do not necessarily have to go to a branch, and they can benefit from having that Bitcoin to fiat convertibility powered by a bank.
Definitely, and I love that because I really don't like going to banks or waiting in bank lineups, and we know Bitcoin can solve that by doing it all digitally. And speaking of banks in El Salvador, this Bitcoin Bankathon, the Hackathon, is the first state-backed hackathon in El Salvador, and there are banks involved in that. Maybe you could talk about that hackathon a little bit.
Yeah, it's not precisely backed by the state, but it's done for a state-owned bank.
Yeah.
So this hackathon, the main goal is to create, there's 5 main goals, right? But the creativity can put all these goals in one, and I think it's creating that infrastructure to enable a first neobank to rise that incorporates Bitcoin, but we're also tackling onto other challenges like redesign remittances. We all know how big El Salvador is on remittances, and how can you improve the remittances leveraging Bitcoin. So I think that point, the people that receive remittances, they cannot incur in volatility. So I think the main challenge is abstracting away the volatility when they receive the Bitcoin. So then we have other challenges which resound with the ethos of the bank, which are how you can use open banking data and smart contracts to battle climate change. How can you empower merchants? Because you have seen maybe here, there's some places that still do not accept Bitcoin.
Yeah. And
I have seen many people that have come to the Bitcoin find this shocking. And I think it's a matter of giving the consumer choices so they can accept Bitcoin. And we're going to do this or show the art of the possible in the hackathon. And last but not least, the female population of El Salvador has been known to be underserved by the financial system. So now that we have Bitcoin, how can we use Bitcoin to empower women with better access to financial services?
Definitely all great initiatives with this hackathon that is coming up, and I know it's starting tomorrow on the final day of the conference that in person here, but it actually goes for 3+ weeks, right?
Yes, it goes for 3 weeks. Tomorrow is the opening ceremony, and then we have an in-person closure of the hackathon, where the last 3 days participants from all over the world will come. We'll have some coaches there, just to help them change the look and feel of their designs, a UI UX coach. Then on the second day, developers, when they come from all over the world, that they form a team, and they don't have that background in pitching. It's important that we give them a pitch coach so they can convey the real message and show the value to the jury. So we also, the second day is for pitch coaches, and the third day is the award ceremony.
Very cool. And from what I understand, this is not just for El Salvadorians, although the goals are focused on helping the country, and other people, Americans or anybody else can also participate. Is that right?
Yes. This is what the beauty of this hackathon, that it maintains the fabrics of what makes Bitcoin Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is an industry driven by the community, and now we want to make banks adopt Bitcoin. So we're also inviting the community to come here and give their grain of salt to this project that hopefully, whatever happens here can be a beacon of light to the rest of the world.
Definitely. And so far with the legalization of Bitcoin in El Salvador, it's really, Bitcoin is one thing, but the technology underlying Bitcoin and smart contracts and blockchain in general, I think can solve a lot of problems, and hopefully it's opening up people's eyes in El Salvador. Bitcoin is like the gateway drug to accessing all of this other value. Based on what you've seen in the country so far since the legalization, are you seeing a positive sentiment towards innovation, using this technology to make a better life for people in El Salvador?
Yes, like with every change, there comes a degree of resistance.
For sure.
And that degree of resistance can be intensified by a lack of proper understanding. And I think this is one of the main challenges that El Salvador have, and the Bitcoin community, if they actually support the Bitcoin law, they should find ways of how they can come here. You know, the doors are open for the Bitcoin community in El Salvador. So how they can come here and how they can help these challenges of improving the knowledge of the community, because that ultimately drives the goal. And whatever happens here, you know, it's going to be precedent for the rest of the world. Who knows? Maybe next year Panama, Uruguay.
Yeah.
So we have to do it right, and the Bitcoin community needs to be aware of that.
Definitely, yeah, and to set a good example as well. You know, as the first country to legalize Bitcoin, I'm pretty sure it will not be the last. It's just a matter of when, not if. And for the people that are interested in learning more about the Open Bank project and about the hackathon, how to get involved, what are the different solutions that they could potentially work on, what's the best way for people to learn more about that?
Yeah, they can go to www.bitcoin-alliance.org, and they can sign up there, join the Discord channel, and they can engage with the community, find a team, and also apply to be mentors. And if they want to find a team, it's very important they sign up to the depots so they're eligible for prizes.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Francisco.
Thank you.
I will put all those links in the description as well, and all the best with the hackathon, and let's follow up in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely.